Howdy y'all, Fuzzy Biker here in the Harley section of the Fuzzy Biker Garage. Today's motorcycle is, check that hot rod out right there. That is an honest to God Harley Davidson Shovelhead Chopper. Just look at that, a real honest to goodness chopper. It's got the raked out head, the oversized tubes, the rigid frame, the shovelhead engine, flat side engine without fins I might add, kickstart only, 6 volt ignition. It's got all the right details. This bike and this shovelhead right behind it were built by a couple of brothers. They were Harley Davidson people through and through. They grew up in a very small community that I would call Harley-centric, kind of the world of Harley Davidson right through there back in those days, the 60s and 70s. Anyway, they had several bikes, flatheads, shovelheads, knuckleheads, all kinds of things, panheads, all Harleys though, all Harleys. And this bike here originally belonged to one of my best friends. He and his older brother decided they wanted to rebuild this motorcycle and build this motorcycle at the same time. These both have Harley Davidson frames, different vintages. That one's got a swing arm, this one's a rigid. And anyway, they went out and bought themselves a couple of S&S bottom ends. The whole bottom end is S&S. Flat sides, distributors up here. It's a generator motor, it's a cycle electric generator. And they put Harley Davidson top ends on them, 80 cubic inch, S&S carburetors. This one actually, there's a story to it, but this one actually has hydraulic lifters in it, which is a rarity, I would think. 4-speed transmission, separate of course. You know, of course they would have that at the time. Again, I said this is a 6 volt bike, battery right there. I do have battery tenders that I keep these on. The horseshoe oil tank right there. Anyway, they wanted these choppers, they wanted these bikes, and they built them. And that's the kind of thing that community did at that time. There were a lot of, when you start to talk to people from that area, you start to realize real quick that back then this was really, that was kind of the center of that kind of a world. So this was a project of love. There's a lot of little details in here, you know, on both these bikes. Gorgeous machines, absolutely. You know, the Fat Bob tanks, this custom made seat. Terry liked these custom seats. That one's got a Mustang seat over there. This bike was owned by a friend of mine named Terry. And they ended up here in the Fuzzy Biker Garage when Terry passed on December 31st. Thank you, Terry. We miss you, buddy. So anyway, the brothers did it right. You know, it's got the wide front end, the 21-inch spoke wheel on the front, an honest-to-goodness drum brake right over yonder. I should have wiped them up a little bit, hadn't I, huh? Little tiny headlight right there. Toolkit, actually full of tools. We looked at the box over there, and that one had eyeglass cleaning supplies in it. Something really important to notice about this right away. Okay, it's raked, it's got the extended forks. Look how narrow these handlebars are. Now I was pushing this bike around this morning. This bike was sitting over here. That's why the oilcloth is over there. And I was pushing around to get it over here, and this thing is a monster to push. it's work to push around. Now Terry was, you know, he wasn't as tall as I am, and he would ride this bike, and I've seen him ride it, and so he could wrestle the alligator, so to speak, because it really is quite a bike to muck with. I don't know if you ever rode a chopper. Maybe you rode a bike with the extended front end, a bicycle, you know, back when you were a youth. Well, it's a handful to ride, I tell you. It's a real trick to ride. But look at this. So taillight, auxiliary lights down here. Let's turn it on and just check out these lights. Okay, so there's the tail light. Those are kind of auxiliary lights down there. Chain drive, of course. Great big old tires, 16-inch. Look how big that is. Chrome spoke, of course. Coming over here to the front. This is a 6-bolt system, by the way. Check that out. What is that, about a 5-inch, you think? Looking over here at his dash, he's got a, let's see what he's got for miles. 20,000 miles, a little over that on this bike. Just look at that. Oil light over here, generator light over here. I suppose that's a neutral light. Turn that off. Not sure what it does when you turn it that way. Fuel, of course. Oil was under the seat. This is kind of cool. You just pull the seat up like that. There's the tank. This is the battery. That's the tank over yonder. Put that back in there like that. That's the whole rear suspension right there. And that's that's not much. Little pad right there. Wonder if you could get the sit on the back of that. I don't think anybody would. Well, there's no pegs. I think the idea was the person on the back would wrap their legs around the person on the front. But just look at the detail here, you know, little leather piece right there. I'm not sure what that is. Just a lot of little, you know, things that are done right. You know, they look right. Everything is just, you know, just so, you know. I love the way these guys. I was looking at this one, and if you look, I don't know if you can see it. Well, here, I got a flashlight. Look at this wiring through here. You know, all the detail on that. And then over here, you know, so things don't rub. You know, really all kinds of little bits of stuff that make it just a little bit better than the average motorcycle. Let's take a look at this side. So this bike over here has a aluminum primary cover. This one has a tin primary cover. It's one of the reasons it's leaking on my floor over yonder. But check that out, isn't that pretty? Just, you know, quite a deal. Clutches under there. Primary, so a primary chain is, so the engine puts out its power, comes out right here, that's where the crankshaft is. And there's a big chain that goes over here that runs to the clutch basket, and that takes the power, it's the primary delivery power from the engine to the transmission. And then that is basically the secondary drive, the chain that goes to the back tire. So primary drive, secondary drive, both chain. You know what? I don't know. Maybe this might be a belt. I know this one's a belt. I'm not sure about this one. I'll try to find that out. Anyway, look at all this detail in here. Chrome cover on the coil pack, chrome petcock right there. You know, everything is just right. Now this, it's got a cycle electric generator. You need that. That's the best kind. Regular is built right in the end. So this bike got rode a lot. This one did not get rode as much. This one got rode a lot. It got rode so much that they actually rebuilt the top end on it once. You know, new cylinders, new pistons. There's the ignition under there. I don't know if this one's electronic ignition or not. I know that one is over yonder. I'll bet you this one is. Not sure what would have gone here. We've got the skulls here now. Look at all this detail. Oil cooler right there. These oil coolers were actually made for power steering pumps in old cars. And the Harley guys would take them, put them on there and use them as oil coolers. I've got one on mine. Somebody went to the trouble of chroming it. It's covered in dust right now. I don't know if chroming would help the oil cooling or not, but that's what it was. So look at this. Black pipes. Then here's these shorty pipes, chrome shorty pipes. He did the same thing here, but with chrome. You know, chrome header pipes and then the shorty pipes again. But just look at all that detail. I was wondering what Terry had in the bags, you know. I told you already about the front bags. So I opened this one up. And this one's full of tools. He's got a big old tool pouch in here. And I mean, it's just got everything in it. You know, he's got scissors and wire and wrenches and just all kinds of goodies. Swiss Army knife, flashlight, vice grips, screwdrivers. It's got more screwdrivers over yonder. Now this bike, it's all up here in the front. And I thought, well, what has Terry got in the back of this one? I just assumed it was tools. Let's open that up and see what we can find. This one looks like a pair of gloves, handlebar switch of some sort. And that's about, oh, there's something back there. Dig back there and see what we can find. Yeah, more Harley parts. So that's what was in the back of this bike. Again, he had all his tools for this one up here. Not sure if I can get this one open easy. Oh yeah, right there. All kinds of spare parts and wrenches and screwdrivers, and you know, when you have a bike like this, that's kind of important to have. I was looking at this on that bike, you know, out of this area here, there's a petcock here to shut this off, so he can shut off this tank. He can separate this tank from the other tank, apparently. Isn't that just a beautiful piece of work? Here's the choke right here. Just all kinds of things, you know. It's a dry sump engine. I've been pointing this out lately because people have asked before. The oil collects in the bottom here. There's a scavenge pump that pumps it up to the tank, gets into the tank. There's a hose that feeds the pressure side of the pump. Pressure side of the pump feeds the important pieces that are in here. It gets pumped up through these tubes here up to the top of the heads. On some bikes, the oil is returned through the pushrod tubes. On these, I think there's galleys in the heads that are bored in. Isn't that neat? Look at all that little. It's not little, it's massive. It's a big motorcycle, you know. I bet it weighs 700 to 800 pounds, 700 pounds. And everything is steel, everything is heavy duty. It's really quite a bike. I'm not sure what the antenna is there for. I think that's just a style feature. It's quite a motorcycle. It really is. We don't know what we're going to do with it. Now, it's January in Iowa. Today's supposed to be high 40s with the sun. You can see the sun shining out there. And I'm going to go motorcycle riding. If it's nice where all are at, get yourselves out there and ride, my friends. Life is good. Wahoo!
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Wahoo!